Nigel Sercombe, one of 8 children to Morgan and Alethea Sercombe, born in England in 1960 before his mum and dad left England and sailed to Australia with his 5 older siblings and one on the way to become missionaries on an Aboriginal mission in the goldfields of Western Australia. Nigel Sercombe is my dad, my mentor, hero, and the person I look up to most. Bit of a strange start to a spearfishing video, but I'll provide you some clarity. So this episode is it's a little bit different, but it's a pretty special one for me and Ocean. I've got my dad over here from the west for a few days, and we're spending some time up north at the moment, which has been great. Dad introduced me to the sport of spearfishing when I was a very young lad, and basically all the things I do with Ocean I've got to attribute and thank to my dad for the childhood that he gave me. So basically, if it wasn't for this old bloke here, I wouldn't be doing the stuff with Ocean that I am now, so got him to thank for that. Dad's been diving for a fair while and got a fair bit of experience under his belt, so I thought it'd be cool to ask him a couple of questions and put that on the next video. So we'll fire away, Father. First question, how long have you been spearfishing and how were you introduced to it?
Well, I started spearfishing when I was 21, and it happened because my older brother, Lindsay, bought me a spear gun for my 21st birthday. And I thought, well, I've got the spear gun, I better get in. So I found some second-hand gear, and I think I bought new fins. They were the old short rubber fins. And I was living on the south coast of WA then with my work, and I used to just swim from the shore off the south coast and shoot
Off West Australia?
Off West Australia, yeah. And you could shoot blue groper there and get the odd blue morwong, or weenie as they call them, and harlequin fish and the odd boarfish, and that was really how I got started. I grew up way inland, so it was never a sport that I had the opportunity to do when I was young, but I just took to it and loved it.
And what year do you reckon that was?
1981. And then in the late 80s, no, it would have been early 90s probably, I started helping out with a spearfishing camp that was being run for high school kids at the Abrolhos Islands, and I got invited to go along on that and help with that. And there was a group of guys who were running that camp who were very good spear fishermen, and I got the chance to see the best of the equipment that was being used. They were using long blades and diving to depths, 30 metres, and they were at the top of their game. Mm-hmm. And one of those was Alistair McNeil, and he became a good friend, and I learned awful lot off Alistair, and he was a very good free diver himself, and that really pushed my free diving forward, and I'm very grateful for Alistair's friendship.
What do you love most about the sport?
I think there's a combination of things that just make the spearfishing a special thing to do. Well, it has been for me, and one of those is the fact that it just takes you away from everything in your normal life. The routine and the run-of-the-mill, and there's something incredibly soothing and therapeutic about being in the ocean. That's one thing, and I think the spearfishing part of it, there's an element of risk and adventure to it, and that's, I reckon that's a really healthy thing to have in your life, something that takes you a little bit away from the normal and makes you stretch yourself and deal with your fears and all that sort of thing. I love the fact that it's productive, that it, you know, you get something that goes on the table that we can share with the family and friends, and I love that. It's challenging, you know, dealing with new situations, trying to get a bit deeper and hold your breath a bit longer and catch something a little bit bigger, or all those things. And I think over the years, as I look back, it's been really good for my mental health. Just without really knowing it, it was just doing me really good to have those times when I went away from all of the normal stresses. And the next great thing is the fact that we've been able to share it as a family.
Yep.
There's no greater thrill in all of my spear fishing than doing it now with my kids, like you, Ant, and with Julia, and even the other, you know, Michelle and Crystal. They come out in the boat and they hop in for a snorkel or they'll fish or whatever. And you know, new members of the family, with the people my children have married, and it's just been a fantastic blessing to our family to have that.
Yeah, definitely. And then now I've been able to do it with the second generation as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
What are the most dramatic changes that you've seen in the sport in 40 odd years that you've been doing it?
I think probably the most dramatic change is in the equipment.
Yeah.
You know, back then I started with those little solid rubber fins, and you know, they weren't that terrific really, and the bought spear guns were pretty average. And then we started making our own wooden guns to give us a bit more power and a bit more length, and big hefty stainless steel spears, 10mm spears. But these days, you know, you've got those pretty high-tech rail guns that are very well powered and they're accurate, and reels on the guns, and you know, the die fins now are so good. The carbon fibre blades are remarkable.
That's even like, you know, when I was in my teens using those old
Hard
plastic
ones, yeah.
Yeah, even in that period, it's come a long way.
Wetsuits are thinner and lighter, less buoyant, but better thermal properties.
So we are out of the reef at one of my most favourite locations to dive, on the Southern Great Barrier Reef. Had a pretty good start of the morning. Dad got a nice big black spot tusky, I shot a nice coro and a really big red throat emperor, and the boys got a few jobbies, so it's been awesome. And just, yeah, so much fun diving with my old man, who I grew up with diving since I was about 8 or 9, so it's just really special having me, Ocean and Dad all together. The little man's in there with Dad right now.
Have a go with the gun. Are you allowed it? Can you have a go with this big gun?
Yeah, tell him to hold his hand straight though.
Don't let out of the gun.
Yeah. Ocean's asking to have a go with the 1.4 reel gun. We're in 30 metres of water, and I think he's going to plough something. We can't knock the ambition for the little fella though, so check in later to see how we go. But how's the weather on it? What's your favourite fish to target?
Oh, it's still probably the WA Dewey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one that, you know, makes your pulse raise when you see them, especially if they're good size and, you know, take a bit to catch.
Yep.
Still love getting good Spanish mackerel though. There's a bit of excitement about those, but yeah, I think the WA Dewey's a hard one to beat for me.
Yeah, I think I knew the answer to that one already. Any future goals that you'd like to accomplish?
Oh, for me, you know, what I love most is diving with you guys, Anne, with you and Julia, and doing that stuff that, you know, puts us together as a family. And it's much more than just the spearfishing. That there's something that you can't describe in the background that makes that pretty special. And you know, I'm 63. If I can enjoy doing that, you know, for another 10 years or 20, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be very fulfilling. It's a pretty special thing to share together.
there any trip or moment that sticks in your mind or memory as a highlight that you'll always remember?
Oh, there's probably a lot of those. There's lots of memories of spearfishing together and being out on the boat together as a family that are very special. I think that trip we did up to Nalu on the west coast, Anthony, you shot that big sailfish. That trip was very memorable, and just the experience of watching that, and you know, being alongside my son when he landed that was a pretty special time. And we've had great trips with that group of guys we went with, you know, with Dave Cook and others that, you know, sort of close family friends. And
what about the one when you abandoned me in the tinny when I was 8? That was pretty memorable. Never forgotten about that.
Very memorable for you. I think that was just to build character and give you courage. That was for. I'd seen Julia get her first, you know, really good dewie in the west, and
nearly lose her leg to a tiger shark.
Yeah, that was very memorable. And the first moment that really grabbed me there that I'll never forget is that scream I heard when I stuck my head above the water, and she'd had a fin bitten off by a big tiger and had to discard the gun and the fish, and I couldn't work out for a minute where the sound was coming from, and I didn't know what I was going to find when I got to her. But yeah, I'll never forget that moment. But we dealt with that. She's still doing it, and good lesson in sticking to the rules and looking after each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. Coming over here for these trips, Ant, and seeing a totally different style of freediving and spearfishing than we practice at home.
Yeah.
And just a whole range of different species, and you know, just the incredible skill I've seen you develop over this last 10 years to be fishing in those conditions and be so productive in such difficult diving. You know, that's been really great to watch. And yeah, meeting some of your mates that are a really good crew. It's been great this week going out with Charlie and Eddie and Tomo. What that poo's all about?
It's been a good day out here, guys. The weather's weather's unreal. Good viz. Fish are just a bonus.
Oh, now he's piped up.
Yeah, I don't have the whole audience. Ocean, what are you going to say about that parrot?
Yeah.
You want to say it again? Do you reckon that could be a Queensland record there, mate?
Yesterday, we were out in the reef, and Daddy saw this parrotfish, and Daddy said, shoot this parrotfish, and I got right there.
So good here on the reef. Got Dad over for a couple of days diving. Got the grandson, the son, and the old fella getting amongst it. Show your parrot, Ocean. All spear and fish. Show your parrot. Woo!
So there's too many to just recall a few, but that's a little quick snapshot.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it. You're constantly making highlights, so you're always they're always adding
That's
to
right.
the highlight list.
It's very good for the soul, I think,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Dad. And thanks for coming over and spending the time with us.
Yeah, thanks for taking me out. It's been fantastic fun.
This might just be another one of the millions of videos that gets posted on YouTube, but for me, it's far, far more than that. It's a video to show my gratitude, acknowledgement, and appreciation. It's a way of me saying thanks, Dad, for everything you've done for me over the last 37 years. You have shaped how I am as an individual, and the impact you have had on me throughout my life far surpasses anyone else on this earth. I can't thank you enough, and I love you. Did well, Dad.
Pretty good.
Who would have thought you would
Overcome my nerves. And
who would have thought you would have done all this public speaking you told me? You kept that one under wraps, didn't you?